This is Creativate. Discover creativity and innovation in the world around us and get inspired to pursue your creative passion.
What's happening? Welcome to Creativate Live. And whether you're listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube, hey, we're glad that you're here. And I'm joined as always by my co-host.
Hey.
Kylie Danskin. Kylie, lots going on. Episode, what are we at, 3? We're at episode
4.
3? 4?
No, this is 3.
3?
It's 3. I'm
wow.
so sorry. There's been so.
Yeah, math. That stuff. It's not my strong suit either.
Episode 3.
And we have entitled today The Creative Unknown. I think somewhat appropriately.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in our culture and our world today with just unknown and unforeseen things coming. So right now we're currently in the middle of chaos.
Yes, COVID-19.
I feel like
virus.
it is a really wild time.
It is.
I don't know if you can see, but I brought
You brought your hand sanitizer.
I brought my hand sanitizer, and I'm just gonna.
And
now that
you're
I'm talking
sanitizing
about it.
while we're on the show. Now I feel
It's
like I should
actually-
sanitize.
You probably should.
All right, give it over here.
Walking around in public, going to grocery stores and things, like, even if I have like a cough, I'm nervous to like cough, so I'm like trying to not do it. You're trying to not touch your face. There's just a lot of crazy stuff going on. So when we kind of talked about doing this episode, we were like, let's call it the creative unknown, because in our culture, there's some unknown things going on right now, but also just as artists, there is a huge unknown.
Yeah, and I think unknown, uncertainty is actually synonymous with being an artist to a certain degree.
Yeah.
When you're either creating something and putting it out there, there's just this like, how are people going to receive it? And it's, I don't know, at least for me, it feels like putting a little bit of yourself out there. There's a little piece of me that goes with everything that I put out there, including this podcast. Like, I mean, we talked about it when we first started. It's like, oh, here we go.
This podcast was unknown. We had never done this before.
Right.
And clearly, do you remember what happened in the first episode?
In fact,
Do we even want to?
well, it's fair to say, okay, so in the first episode, you're going to notice if you go back, or maybe it was just glaringly evident to you, that the first episode, we didn't quite hit record on these microphones.
Because you said we, but as you noticed, that is in front of you.
This is angled at me, I'm noticing. And in fact, our one of our good friends who helps us edit the show, John, he he kindly,
bless his heart,
showed me on the video. He's like, "Look, Jason, Kylie, I need to show you something," and showed me where he says, "Hey, Jason, that red button that's blinking,
right there,
it's not blinking now because I hit it. It's actually recording." But on that episode, he's like, "You're going to need to hit that." And we just rolled with the show.
Yeah, we just went through the whole thing.
Did you see how I went from me to we there again?
I know. I saw that.
And he showed this to me, and then he showed it again. He said, "I just want to be sure you're going to hear me say, go ahead and hit the button, and you see where you don't hit the button."
So we started a podcast. We did our first episode, and we never even hit record.
Kylie, I look at it as like an upgrade. Like episode 1, we were like, "Hey, the sound didn't sound so good. Like, here's some notes, guys. Like some good friends, both yours and mine, gave us some notes on the show, and now it sounds different. And aren't we glad we did that?
We actually
hit record on the soundboard."
Anyways, there's just a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of unknown, and that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. Where have you, like, as an artist, where have you seen some like uncertainty in your own life?
Yeah, and I think there was one story that kind of came to mind, and I felt like it was a moment that really revealed to me as kind of like a creative minded person that it's like it was a moment where I thought, oh, I'm not committed to kind of my art because I'm trying to protect myself in a way. And it was this story. So I was working in Sydney, Australia at the time, and a bunch of us kind of went out, after work, and we were out, and I just got talking with some people, at this restaurant, and they happened to be part of a band. There were 3 guys there, and they were part of a band. And so got talking with them, and I'm like, oh yeah, I play music too, and it's a passion of mine, and they're like, yeah, it's just this artistic expression, and I'm trying to relate to these guys. And then I said this, I go, but I'm just so busy. I can't really give myself to this thing. And they just kind of looked at each other and like kind of laughed. And I'm like, all right, like, what's up, guys? And they're like, look, we lived in a van. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they were like 100% committed. Right. They had to embrace the uncertainty 100% because they said, hey, this is what we're about. This is why we're coming together. This is my form and expression of art. And they were all in. And it just like, it was a moment for me to go like, oh, that's what it looks like. It's that level of commitment. And look, I'm not downplaying if we do art on the side or we're like we have a side hustle or whatever that is. It just showed me the way that some people just embrace this uncertainty 100% and get comfortable with it.
You can see that too. I know that you can tell the difference when you're looking at art or you're watching something or you're creating something. You can tell when that artist is fully in it. Yeah. Or if they're just kind of maybe tiptoeing or dabbling, And I think that as artists, there's lots of moments where we have to say, okay, this is something I'm passionate about and I'm diving in regardless of the limitations or time. I know you mentioned time. That is a huge one.
Yeah. And I think just right now, we opened up just talking a little bit about the uncertainty of the time right now.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I mean, completely transparent here. I've lost, like many others, a bunch of business in this time because, especially, marketing budgets get cut. And there was a particular client, actually, Canadian client internationally, that just said, hey, actually, we just don't know. Like, there's uncertainty for us, and that translates to uncertainty for me or from artists, or maybe you were commissioned to do something, or maybe you were going to launch a business, and they're like, oh, wow, this might not be the time. And I just want to acknowledge that's a real thing right now for people. It's a real thing for me. Kylie, I know it's been a real thing for you as well.
We were talking a little bit before the show, but a lot of different projects that I were on have just kind of hit pause right now. And it's a little bit scary, especially for anyone out there that's entrepreneur or art is your main source of income. And I do think that that's kind of in the season we're in right now, right. The unforeseen. It's a little bit scary knowing where your next paycheck coming from or where that next project's going. And I think it's easy to slip into getting discouraged.
Right.
And so that's why when we were talking about this podcast and just the time right now and talking, instead of leaning away from it and just, going with another topic, because we had a bunch of different topics, kind of leaning into it and saying, hey, like this is unforeseen. You're losing business. I'm losing business. Like there's lots of people all over and there's some hardship, but in that we're also seeing a lot of creative things kind of spark up.
Yes. I mean, in this
time, a lot of hope.
Yeah. Right. And again, one of the reasons why we even started this podcast is just to inspire, get inspired, to hear stories of inspiration. And one of the things that I think is most encouraging in this time is those stories are out there. Right. And there are a couple that I think we wanted to share today.
Yeah. So I was actually, I was watching the news, which is crazy
be careful.
Right now.
Yeah,
I know.
Be careful with that. Holy cow.
But there was something really cool that our local news did. And they highlighted different restaurants specifically in downtown Seattle right now. Cause I would say that they're probably getting hit the most, where people are just at homes, in case you don't know this, or maybe you're not in this area, but all restaurants and bars have now been closed. you can do takeout, but that's about it. Like you're not allowed to sit down, eat anywhere. And it's just basically to kind of help prevent the spreading of the virus. Yeah. But anyway, so restaurant owners in downtown Seattle got together and they're thinking, okay, how do we think outside the box here? How do we get creative? And there's a couple different restaurants that decided to do a kind of drive up takeout option. So they had all their employees that have never done this before. They wore gloves, they had masks on, there were like hand sanitizing stations everywhere, and they had like 4 lanes of cars just coming up, and they were taking orders and they were bringing them to the kitchen and they were running food out. And so people literally stayed in their car the whole time. And this is like fine dining, like really more like high-end restaurants. And they were doing like drive up style, like just like order, let's go. And they talked about that it was providing income jobs for their employees that would have, you know, otherwise just been going home. And it's kind of fun to see these businesses kind of get together and strategize and say, hey, like how can we be creative right now? How can we still provide an income and use our resources well?
Right. And I mean, one of the places that even just comes to mind is where we're sitting, right? Our studio, we have our studio, the Creative Consortium, it's called. And we know the owner fairly, we've gotten to know John really well. He's, you know, helped us in so many different ways. But one of the things that he, you know, his business is based on co-working, which is now just like, no, like you can't. Social distancing, it pretty much eliminates co-working, but also kind of in that creative and marketing space. And one of the ways that he's pivoted, and I just thought this was so cool, he pivoted to making this space a streaming studio. Yeah. So he's now positioning it as, you know, you can record a message, music, you know, whatever it is,
to promote your business.
Yeah, to promote your business, even little tutorials that he's setting up. And I just thought, what a creative pivot that he's done. And of course, he's leveraged his social media channels as best as he could to get that word out. And it's actually working. I've seen it. You know, we walked in today and someone was in here recording, and we all, whoops, kind of walked into the space.
That's another we that you're saying. That was you that did that. I did not.
Was that more me than a we?
Okay. They were like, oh, we've got to edit this now.
Emerging here, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a pattern of you using the word we.
Oh my gosh.
But you know what? Now that you say streaming and things like that, I just got to shout out, like, you know who I see just thriving in this moment are churches. Yeah. So because one of the first things that our governor kind of shut down was large gatherings of people,
over a certain size, right?
Which is what churches do on a weekly basis. And so I think that there is a moment to be like, oh, great, like, what do you do? And I've just been seeing again and again, like I'm not even just locally, but like across the country, churches being super creative in how to still present hope and the gospel in this community in their area in a different way. And they're mostly going online. So I actually, this is really cool. This church, when there was no like large gatherings of people, they had everyone show up to their church parking lot and stay in their cars. And they actually had like people come out with gloves and bring coffee like to your window. And then everyone turned their radio stations to like the same station. And they had like a small stage and did like an outdoor, but in your car gathering.
Right. Almost like a drive-in movie theater. That reminds me of
a drive-in movie theater. Yeah. And it was just one of those moments where it was like thinking outside the box, like how cool to still be like, okay, social distancing, we get it. No large gatherings. Okay. Like, not being brought down by that, but being like, okay. And look online right now, so many businesses are like, let's take it online. How do we market to people? How do we strategize? How do we still present our product or our
what is the online expression of our business? I mean, like they may have had this e-commerce component of what they do, but really beyond that, what is the expression of the brand online?
Yeah.
And it's cool to see, because I think in times like these, that's when you see creativity really like come out and
an importance for artists.
Right. And the importance for artists and creative thinkers. I mean, this is when there's a value that comes along with that type of thinking. And so it's kind of cool to see. I mean, if there's a silver lining, I think that's definitely one of them.
Oh, it definitely is. I thought it would be fun today to just kind of do a new segment.
New segment.
Yeah. I don't have a name for it. I was trying to think of something, but honestly, it's just game. It's a game time.
Okay. Well, I see. I mean, I saw you just place like paper plates
I did.
down over there.
So,
now I'm a little nervous.
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
What are we doing? So Kylie, so for those of you listening on the podcast, she's got two Sharpies in her hand and two kind of large paper plates right now.
Yeah. We also have our judge, Sam, our producer.
Sam, our
she's
producer.
gonna be
Okay, so she's going to be the judge apparently. I still don't know what's going on. I am getting there's uncertainty, and I'm nervous a little. My stomach. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, unforeseen.
All right. Unforeseen. This is unforeseen.
Also reusing Merry Christmas plates.
All right.
So
well,
just
recycle.
Stick to that
Were
side.
these used at some point, or no? They're clean.
No,
okay.
they're clean.
All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna explain this game.
Okay. All right.
If you're listening or watching, you should do this along with us because it could be kind of fun. All you need is a paper plate, or you could have just a paper, but whatever. Paper plate's probably best, and a Sharpie. So here's what we're going to do. I thought it'd be fun, since we're talking about the unforeseen, to do a game that's
all right. Unknown.
that
right.
brings some uncertainty. You ready?
I'm uncertain. Let's do this.
Okay.
What are we doing?
Okay, so we are going to put the paper plate. I will demonstrate. We are going to put the paper plate.
You get to practice? Because I
No,
feel like
I'm
this is
not
a competition.
practicing.
You just
I'm
said someone's
not-
going to be the judge.
Yeah, Sam's the judge. I'm not practicing. I'm just showing you. Also, was going to have to cover her face. I didn't think this through. So you basically put the paper plate on your forehead.
Okay.
And then you will, on your other hand, have a Sharpie.
Okay.
Lid off, but for the demonstration. And you're going to start...
Okay. Start what? Okay. Podcast people, she's got a plate in front of her face right now, and she's putting a Sharpie against it, and then she's saying,
Yes.
"Oh, you're gonna
So like
start.
on your forehead.
Where
So
we
you
start?
can't
What
see
we're doing.
anything.
Okay.
So
Okay.
here's how it goes. This
All right.
is how come I couldn't practice, because
Okay.
so I'm going to I get to say something. Okay, I'm going to go first. Okay? So
Okay.
I'm going to say draw a hat.
Okay.
And so then you and I, it's on our foreheads, but we basically have to draw a hat. And then
Okay.
it's your turn, and you get to say, now draw a feather on that hat, right?
Okay,
And then I get to go, and I get to say, now draw a person wearing the hat. And then you get to say, now have that person under the water. I don't know.
Okay.
Just, those are terrible, but you get it. So that's how come we can't practice, because we don't know what each other are going to say. But then after we've gone back and forth and we feel pretty good about it, we are going to take our plates, and then we are going to look at what we actually drew. And
Here we go.
Sam
Sam is the
gets
judge.
to judge which one actually looks the most accurate. That makes sense?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so if you are listening at home, you're about to hear me win.
By the time you get your plate, we'll have done this.
Okay.
All right. So.
Okay, so I'm going to go first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We don't go at the same time.
No, we do. I get to choose what we draw first.
Okay, but we're
so ready. So put it on your forehead, and then you got your Sharpie. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna say draw a. I'm trying to think of like something cool, but
What?
I just a person,
A person.
like a whole body.
A whole body person.
Yeah. Like a stick figure.
Well, that's where I'm going. I'm going
Oh, okay,
stick
good.
figure.
Okay.
Okay.
Now you go.
Okay. Let's draw the stick figure with a bag, like luggage.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
luggage. Luggage.
Yeah.
He or she is going somewhere in the world.
Not right now.
Okay.
Okay. Now, draw a hat on that person.
A hat on the person.
Yep. They're going to be wearing a little hat.
Got a little hat on there. Oh man, I wish I could see the monitor. Our monitor, like we
It's
can't.
gonna be so
Okay.
good. Okay, what do you got?
Draw a Oh, this is gonna get okay.
I
I
should
don't
have
know.
done smaller plates. These are ginormous.
We're gonna. They are big.
These are like the plates that you
Okay.
bring to Thanksgiving.
Draw the person's bicycle next to
What?
the. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, hey.
Sure. Yeah.
Here's where we're going. The person's bicycle. He's going somewhere with his bag, but with his bicycle or her bicycle.
Okay.
And so the
So you're
bicycle is
drawing
gonna
a
be
bicycle. Okay. Yep.
over here.
Okay. And then we get to look at it. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Oh, that's not bad. Oh, come on.
Oh my gosh, mine is garbage.
Look, my hat is almost on. Can you guys see
I
that?
don't even know where I drew a hat.
All right.
Oh,
All right,
man.
podcasters, check this out. So mine looks like the hat is actually on the head. The bag is actually in the
Okay.
hand. And
But
the
your
bicycle,
head is floating off of the body.
the head is a little bit floated on the mouth, and the bicycle is a little sketchy.
And there's just like
suspect.
a mad,
The-
like an angry mouth.
the bicycle on mine is suspect. Kylie's is more like, okay, let me see Kylie.
yeah.
Her hat is in the guy's mouth, in the girl's mouth. The bag is the arm is not attached to the body, and the
Yeah,
bag is
that-
not attached to the arm.
Oh my
the
gosh.
bike, you went for it. She drew She tried to draw spokes in the wheels
It
of the
kind of
bicycle,
looks like a
which is
snowflake.
brave.
I
That's a
know.
brave move. That's points for
That
bravery.
one looks good, but
All right,
Sam?
Sam. Yeah, I'm a winner.
I was
yeah.
doomed.
Okay. Hey, that was fun though.
yeah,
And hey, we had uncertainty and we still had fun.
yeah.
Is that the point?
Yeah, that is the point. And also, it's just a fun, like, creative, get yourself
Yeah.
out of the box thinking.
I love that.
We went pretty basic with the guy in a bicycle.
And here's the thing, like, okay, so we have also been in our communities here in Seattle have been asked to stay at home, and so
Yeah.
we've had to kind of think of things to do at home, and sometimes it's working on your craft or your art, but hey, this is one of the things that you can do at home.
that actually is kind of a fun time. It's fun to see what people are doing.
Yeah.
You know what I saw is kind of like trending is I think it's called jamming in your jams or something like that.
Jamming in
Have
your
you heard of
jammies?
this? Yeah. It's
sounds
musicians
awesome.
right now
Yeah.
that are quarantined, self-quarantined at their
Yeah.
house. And so they are wearing their pajamas and creating a song, and then they tag their friends who
And then they add
also
on
know.
to the track or whatever.
Oh,
or do they-
actually, that would be so cool. Which you should maybe start. No, they're just doing their own songs, but
right.
it's just really cool to see artists kind of emerging and still creating just in their pajamas.
Yeah, it's just the ideas that have come out, and it's a great time to be on social media, isn't it? I mean,
know.
like the content that's coming out, the content that's being put out, the next level kind of ideas that are coming out. It's
Right.
been really fun to watch.
Yeah, I actually, speaking of social media, one of the things I love is Pinterest. I'm a Pinterest person. But I have a ton of boards on there. Like anytime I see something, are you taking a picture of yourself?
I am taking a
kinda
picture
looks-
of Spider-Man here. So this, I don't know
It's
why
so
it struck me.
distracting.
Was it?
Yeah,
I took I don't know. I thought
we do have Spider-Man.
well,
on
so
the
Spider-Man's here, and then we've got some plants on the table here, and then
table. Is this the Millennium Falcon?
Falcon, yeah, the
Falcon.
Millennium Falcon is there, and then we've got the hand sanitizer, and I just thought,
It
oh,
goes
it's,
well.
I don't know, I got inspired.
Uncertainty. Anyways, on my Pinterest board, I just have quotes. Anytime I see something that inspires me or just like a quote, something that grabbed my attention, I'll just pin it to my board. And this is one that I saw the other day. And it said, "In eliminating uncertainty, we kill our shot at brilliance."
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? Yeah. I mean, there is something about it. There is something about it that, whether it makes you go all in or whether it's, gosh, I mean, if I'm honest, I mean, I've seen a couple of businesses just go into like survival mode. Like, I need to be creative. How do I, make this work? And just these really cool ideas coming out of that moment. I also think that, Kylie, when you and I started this thing, we talked about like, hey, we want to encourage people. We want to inspire each
Inspire,
other. We want
yeah.
to inspire. We want to connect people. And I just want to say this. If you're out there and you've got a creative bone in your body, like you are needed right now. You are
so
needed. Because just like we talked about, whether you're working for a business, whether you're working in a business, whether you're working on a business, man, your creative gifting, your creative passions are needed more now than ever. I just would encourage you just to lean into it. Now is the time. You know, if there was ever a moment where we're working on a project and it might be of some inspiration or some good for someone, like get it out there. Get it out there. Now's the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really important. It also could be a time where people feel really lonely or really isolated, staying inside their homes, not getting to socialize or be out there. And really our main part of communicating right now is through social media, our phones, FaceTiming, calling. And it's like everyone is at home right now and they're bored and they're scrolling through social media or whatever it is. So I just think that's another element of being needed as an artist. Like, what if you were able to make something, whether you're a musician and you're jamming in your jams, or you're creating art, or you're a graphic designer and you're making something, you're doing a video, like whatever it is, using those skills to help inspire and still connect people, I think is huge right now.
Yeah. And here's another way that, you know, you're talking about that. And I just remember you mentioning, I think it was on one of our shows before, Facebook groups. Like you were talking about Facebook groups.
I did,
Like what a great time to get connected, maybe even with other artists or other people that have similar interests to you. And I know Facebook is not paying us for any of that. Like, I don't want this to become a commercial for them, but like that is, I saw that as a way that people are connecting and interacting,
sharing stories
in a time when, you know, we just need to encourage each other. And so,
but I just think staying inspired right now too, like don't lose your creativity. Some things I have been doing just personally to stay on top is just actually having a schedule. So it can be kind of a loose schedule, but knowing that I set aside time, because I actually have 2 children. So schools are closed right now. So I just became homeschool mom.
Right.
Something I never thought.
Level of being a mom.
And so I'm actually, I'm going to school right now. I know I've mentioned that on the show before, but going to art school. And so I'm like, all right, children, we're learning about color fundamentals and coding classes today. They're going to build their own websites by the age of 5. But just having kind of that schedule still where, sure, I picked up on an extra role, which I know a lot of maybe listeners or people out there are like, yeah, I feel that. But still trying to carve out time every day that I get to spend on my business or my craft, and even if I don't have a ton of projects going on right now, like I mentioned, a lot of them have kind of hit pause. Like I'm watching tutorial videos. I am looking for things to help inspire me. I'm staying ahead of that, because I think sometimes when you're isolated or you're alone or there's a lot of uncertainty, fear can creep in. And so still working on staying positive and being creative and using those skills and those gifts.
Well, and even just, you know, challenging yourself in this time. I think, you know, for me, I've really gotten into the Procreate app on the iPad, cool. I love that app so much. And, I just challenged myself to like, what else could I learn in that space? You know, there's a lot of, you know, just like anything with Photoshop, Illustrator, there's that next level of diving into the deep end. And I didn't know it could do, you know, stop animation or, you know, some sort of motion graphic and just learning something new in this time. And I think it does help. It does help with what we're facing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of companies out there right now, or you even mentioned Procreate. There's a lot of really great tutorials and videos that you can even just Google.
Yeah.
And they pop up for free. And a lot of times I will then click on that artist and I'll follow to their own website, and then I'll join their, if it's like a really good video where I'm like, I learned something, I created something new because of this, I will join their email list.
Yeah, you're going to follow them up.
Yeah.
And, you know, I learned how to draw on a paper plate opposite way on a YouTube tutorial. I don't know. But it came in hand. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
I had you for a minute. Okay, they're like, YouTube, you went on you. I didn't need YouTube to beat you here today.
Oh,
I'm just going to go on record and say
it was bad, Sam.
Come on.
It was bad.
Fair.
I know. I was ready to be like, obviously I would win. And when I saw
You did come in with a lot of confidence. Your confidence was through the roof.
Yeah.
I was a little bit, I'll be honest, I was a
because,
little
like,
intimidated.
I came up with the game.
You came
and
up with the game. You
lost.
brought the gear. You're like,
I'm using hand sanitizer. That's how I get rid of my stress.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways,
Guys.
uncertainty. I mean, we're literally recording this episode right now, and right before we hit record, the governor was just on,
Yeah.
and so we were watching on our phones, literally waiting to hear if tomorrow there would be a shelter. What was it?
Shelter in place, I think it's called, yeah.
So talk about uncertainty. I think we're living it.
Yeah.
But if you could hear something on this, like, stay positive, you guys.
Stay positive, and you are needed. I think,
You are
again, just coming back to
needed.
you're needed.
You're
You're
needed.
needed as a creative in this time. So, yeah, that's the
Episode 3.
3.
We
did
hit
it.
record.
And yeah, hey, we always like to thank our sponsors. The space that we're in, Creative Consortium in Paulsville, Washington, and
We've also got My Lion Marketing at mylionmarketing.com. Check them out.
yeah, thanks so much to them, and we will see you next time.
Episode 4.